So we are live.
Hey, everybody. I'd like to thank General Catan for having me on today. It's PB here. You can find me at Pop Culture PB on YouTube and on Twitter. I do High Council highlights and I do reactions to Star Wars and Marvel. And today we're going to be talking pretty much exclusively about Star Wars.
I guess that's in order. I mean, like people are like, Endgame's coming out in a few days. Shh, let's go over episode 9 again.
Yep.
Which is pretty much the whole thing. My sister called me today from the other side of the world to tell me, so are you going to watch Endgame? I'm like, child, you have known me ever since your heart started beating, okay? You've known me ever since you were born. Had you not paid attention? Have you been living under a rock? And she's like, oh yeah, shit, celebration. So what was the trailer like? And I was like, oh, you didn't check the trailer? Nothing? She was like, yeah, I find it kind of meh because after The Last Jedi, I'm like, I get you, I get you. And my sister's kind of still pissed, with the whole Captain Marvel thing going on right now. And she's like, if I go to look at Star Wars, we get Raylos. If I go at Marvel, we have Captain Marvel. I just want an intact franchise on like Game of Thrones. She's like, oh, you're right.
Ooh,
Oh,
yes,
you're
that's what I'll be watching later tonight. Some Game of Thrones.
yeah. Because Game of Thrones, as long as as from what I've seen, because I haven't caught on any episodes lately, because I started watching them with my ex fiance before we broke up, and well, basically, the whole kind of thing fell apart, and then we got news of episode 9, and then we got some Clone Wars stuff, and basically, I just reverted back to my safe space. Which you all have to respect my safe space. I'm like a Raylo. Don't violate it. Oh man.
Oh man, I
I
got
know.
into it with somebody over the whole Raylo thing because he kept on telling me before celebration, I want to say it was maybe Tuesday night or something like that. He goes, "Nah, man, she's a Skywalker. She's definitely a Skywalker. She has to be a Skywalker. It makes perfect sense." I was like, if she's a Skywalker, wouldn't one of the two Skywalkers that she interacts with over the course of two movies have told her she's a Skywalker? And he's like, "Nah, Luke, it's Luke's daughter. He was just testing her, and it was all just a test. The same way that Yoda was just testing Luke. It was just a test. He knew who he was. He was just," and I was like, okay, by that logic, you could say that Yoda is Luke's father because he knew who he was.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And
Their
and
logic.
his response to that was, "I'm excited for episode 9."
Yeah. The sun is. The sky is blue and the sun is shining. They don't have any other arguments. My latest comment that I have right now, speaking of Raylos, and I have this on my phone, is that, Anakin and Padme was a creepy couple. Kylo Ren and Ray have chemistry, and my response was my involuntary. I know, I know, I know, I know. I mean, like if I was in my 60s with a heart condition, I'd be in an emergency room right now. So thank God that my dad, who is 60 years old, doesn't have a heart condition and isn't a Star Wars fan. Because if we discuss these things, well, I would have buried the old man prematurely. Touch wood, with all of this crap. And I'm glad that I'm
Oh
still
yeah.
young right now. I can still hold this crap. Okay, so they basically say that Ray and Kylo Ren have chemistry. People, Ray and Kylo Ren, the only chemistry that they have is whipped up in some laboratory. That's the only kind of chemistry you'll get with Ray and Kylo Ren.
I was like, I didn't realize chemistry was you put two people in a room, put a little bit of sweat on them, and put some weird sound effects in the background. Boom, you got chemistry.
Well, yeah, that's their idea. I mean, you see, they see things. This is why I call them delusional as well. They want to see on screen what they have in their minds, and for them, it's real. I mean, like if they've written a sick fan fiction about it, for them, it's real. Okay, we Star Wars fans are mad for not getting Luke Skywalker. Sorry about that. We Star Wars fans are mad that we didn't get Luke Skywalker, for example, doing some cool shit in Episode 8, and they are going to be mad because JJ didn't write some sick fiction regarding Reylo. So yeah, and they have the audacity to say, yeah, that Anakin and Padme was a creepy couple. I'm like, Anakin protected Padme throughout the Clone Wars, while yeah, Kylo Ren kind of abused and lied and manipulated Rey all along. But that's the relationship prototype. That's the example. That's the paradigm that they want to set to their children. That's pretty cool because when I have children, I know who's getting beaten in the playground, and that's not my kids. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they understand what the word creepy means. If you want to say that somebody who's like, hey, this guy over here who I've been following for near a decade, I'm just going to randomly slice him in half. We're going to team up to fight the people who are technically supposed to be protecting me at this point.
Yeah.
But then right at the end, I'm going to turn on you because you're not evil enough for me. But
Oh, and
then
also,
we
do you
still
remember when I
want
killed
them
my
to be
dad?
together.
That's true. And he'll be like, "Hey," while they're fighting, he'll be like, "Hey, Ray," and she'll be like, "What? Remember that time when I killed my dad? That was pretty cool, huh?"
Yeah,
And
that
she'll
was
be
that
like,
was
"No,
great.
no."
Didn't that get you all hot and bothered?
Yeah, and they'll be like,
Remember
"Oh yeah,
that?
oh, I love me a man that kills his daddy."
Yeah, that I mean it's a very, to put it nicely, an unusual fantasy.
Well, yeah, unusual is the kind of word because we do not want to hurt their safe space with our offensive words. We do not want to bust that bubble. Because yeah, just they live in their little microcosm, like insects. Like if you shrunk down to an insect's level, a pot plant would seem like an endless tree. So that's the world that they're seeing things right now. Instead of being fascinated by what Star Wars can teach people, they're like, no, 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 I want a sick fantasy. And they've been giving me a lot of flack, which I'm enjoying, by the way, because when you see their piss poor arguments, they're like, they Kylo good, Anakin Padme bad. Oh my God! I mean, like this guy must have gone to Harvard Law or something. I mean, like I cannot advocate against such a stellar
Yeah, and
argument.
I was like, okay, maybe make a more reasonable argument if you want to, let's say, attack the characters interacting with each other and say, oh, well, when they were on screen together, they didn't have the greatest dialogue. Or if you want to go bad, see, oh, the dialogue was just atrocious. They don't know how to talk to each other. It was just awful. I mean, that would make more sense to attack those two characters' relationships than just, oh, well, it's bad. Well, what the hell does that mean? It's bad. Just because you don't like it, it's bad? How about a
Well,
little explanation?
they can say the same about us, but they can say the same about us talking shit about Kylo Ren and Rey because I don't like it and I know it's bad. And when you point it out, you see you're a bad guy. And
And
there
then you
was
get
this.
blocked.
Yeah, I know. I actually contradicted this one guy that commented on my video this morning and deleted the comment. Okay, he basically went along the line saying, like not all Raylos are bad people, and there's some amazing, gorgeous fan art out there, and how dare you call these people deluded and mentally ill? And I said, okay, I want to say to this person, yeah, you can get some pretty cool fan art of Anakin and Obi-Wan teaming up, and if you dig too deep in the internet, you might find some things that these two are doing that is not something that you want to see. Okay,
Yep.
it kind of ruins the magic. So I basically, if you have to delete your browser history in order to sake your fantasies, then you have a problem. I mean, if you have to go incognito in Google Chrome, if you know what I mean, then you have a problem, my friend. That's what I told them, and they don't like hearing it. They don't like listening to the reality of things, and I love turning their logic against them. They're like, hey,
Oh, that's the
not
best
all
part.
not all Raylos are bad people, right? And he's like, well, yeah. How could you say that? I'm like, okay. How come you same SJWs say that all white men are white supremacists? How come you say that all white men are potential rapists? How come you say that all white men this and all white men that? Not all white men are bad. And basically, I think that that was a paradox that self-destructed in his programming chip, and that NPC was fried. So yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Oh. Oh yeah, they have a hard time doing that. They're like, "Oh, well, wait a second. I guess if you apply that to,
Error logic found,
any other situation, it falls apart instantly because you
and
don't
it's
even have to get into a debate with them. It's just one tweet back, "Hey, so you're saying that all these people are terrible because they're all exactly the same? Well, okay, thank you."
yeah, and they're like, does not compute, and they're like,
And then you get a response like I get. I'm excited for the episode 9 trailer.
yeah, and then you're like, the episode 9 trailer wasn't great, and you're like, you sexist, how could you not like Ray? I'm like, yeah, I'm past Ray. I mean, do you know what? I wasn't even surprised when I saw her do that slow mo backflip. I'm like, yeah, typical of Ray. And I was like, really? That's pretty humble for Ray, you know? I mean, like before she lifted mountains and now she just does a
Yeah, I thought
backflip.
that she was gonna like stop the whatever it's supposed to be, some type of silencer interceptor hybrid,
Yeah, it looks like the
because
love child of
it's
those two.
because it's got to be a new toy, because you got to be able to sell a new toy because of the merchandising. And that's
Yeah,
not necessarily a Disney thing. George Lucas did that with his own stuff, so I'm not necessarily opposed to that. A
yeah,
little more originality would have been nice, because you look
yeah.
at it and everyone's fighting on the internet that no, it's this ship, no, it's this ship. Nobody's I heard like maybe 10% of people take the side of no, it's a new ship. And I was like, well, yeah, it's new because they just took an old one and they put some red on it and go, yeah, that's
Yeah.
first order.
It's like we need a quick idea for a new toy. Get me the TIE Interceptor model. Yeah. Oh, what are you gonna do about it? Bring me that black spray paint. Shh, done. Genius! Oh my god, I never thought of this. This is a brilliant idea. Promote it. Sell, sell, sell.
Because I thought, I was like, oh, she does her little right at the start. She's like, "Oh, I see it coming over the mountain or whatever the hell's in the distance there." And she turns away from it. And I was like, "What the hell?" And then she turns towards it, but then she runs away from it. And I was like, "Well, that's a little confusing." I thought she was gonna do like some super force move and just, crumple it up
Like
into a tiny little ball.
yeah, like a what's it called? What's it called? Maybe she could just blink at it and just crush it like a soda can, you know? I mean,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that would be more Ray
I
appropriate. So
wasn't expecting a flip where all she did was, I mean, what does she jump at maximum? Maybe 15 feet off the air, or
yeah,
off the ground.
I'm like, yeah, is that all? Come on, man. I'm like, come on, do some Mary Sue stuff, please.
And then
You're under
go ahead.
no, you're underwhelming me.
Yeah, and then right before we started talking, I'm on Twitter and I see somebody puts in there, they're like, "Oh, well, I think that it's somebody else in that fighter and it's a stolen ship." So they put in parentheses that they think it's Poe and he's flying at her for some type of training sequence. And I was
Uh,
like, "Okay,
in the middle of the desert alone.
if you want me to accept all of that, I can accept all of that, but why is the saber on?"
Oh my gosh, exactly. I actually heard a similar argument, and they were like, maybe Ray's hitching a ride, and I'm like, yeah. Do you always carry a weapon with you, and before you hitch a ride, you just cock your gun, or you just prepare your knife or something out of its holster or something? And they were like, no, we don't do that. I'm like, okay, then if Ray's expecting a pickup or hitching a ride, why is she igniting her saber? For what reason? And they're like, look how you trap them in their logic. They're like, well, maybe Ray doesn't know 100% who this person is. I'm like, Ray, but Ray's all powerful in the Force. She can move mountains, and she can't sense if the person in that tie is on her side or not. They were like,
Yeah, if everyone says, well, she can sense everything and do everything, then Why can't she sense who's in there and which side they're on?
Yeah,
Because
but
either they are force sensitive or they're not force sensitive. And if they are force sensitive, you'll be able to tell if they're light side or dark side.
yeah, but it depends on the plot. You see, sometimes there's an on-off switch with the powers, when the plot demands it to be. But I digress. What is the thing that you anticipated most in these 3 days of celebration?
Oh, I guess the thing I guess the thing I anticipated the most, I halfway got was them trying to pack as much nostalgia into the trailer as possible.
Yeah,
I
they
was
did.
just hoping because I got up a little too late today that I haven't been able to see any of the Clone Wars stuff because that's what I care about the most
Yeah.
because I'm concerned as to whether or not they are going to Disneyfy what they had left, or are they just going to release the episodes that were already made? And they said, well, we canceled it because it was too violent. Okay, well, if they're going to go on Disney Plus and they're saying that their Disney Plus service is going to have all the tiers that you're going to have your G-rated stuff, your PG, your PG-13, and they're still going to have an R section somewhere so they can put Deadpool out. You can have whatever
I
the
think
hell
that
you
it's going
want
to
for it.
be a PG version of Deadpool. A quick shout out to Jeff in the chat, and he has some very cool points here with the teaser. He says basically the highlight that I'm keeping. He's like, yeah, I hate the breathing that they keep showing these sequel trailers, and I caught a video of Anomaly Inc. showcasing it. It's like, what the hell is with the fucking breathing at the beginning of every fucking trailer?
Yeah, I made a note of that.
Yeah.
In my reaction after they get to that and they cut to her just, I guess, standing there before she grabs the lightsaber, I was like, huh, she's got this heavy breathing. What was she doing before they turned the camera on? This is disturbing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she read some of her maybe just before the trailer she read some of the fan fictions of Raylo shippers and she's like, "Oh my god. Oh my god, I can't believe what I just read." Anyway, so
What was the one
he's
thing that you were most excited for or anticipating at Celebration?
obviously the Clone Wars, but I still left a I was still looking to see for the Mandalorian to see if I could be excited about it, and I am cautiously optimistic is the right word I'm going to use. And
Okay.
yeah, because I don't know, but at the same time I see John Favreau and Dave Filoni, and I know that these two guys really like Star Wars and they could pull something off. The reason why I'm cautious is because I don't know basically the whole basis of the story, like why are we going to follow these characters' story? You have to ask some basic questions. What is the story about? Who does the story involve? Why are we getting this story? And one of the things
Right,
that I was,
because there's
oh, go ahead.
really only one Mandalorian in regular Star Wars, in the movies that people care about, and it's Boba Fett.
Yeah, well, to be 100% honest, Boba Fett, he is kind of overrated in the sense that he didn't do
I will
much.
agree with that.
He didn't do much but capture Han Solo, because Han Solo was built up to be this awesome character, and the one that captures him gains instant cred. Okay, Boba Fett didn't do as much. He basically he was the equivalent of Captain Phasma in the sequels, set up as an amazing character. We get a lot of tie-in material surrounding these two characters on how awesome their background was. But what people care most about is what they do in the films. And I'm going to say this: I'm a huge Django fan. Okay, and he also did very limited things. I'm a huge clone fan,
Yep.
but
I would say, yeah, he did limited things, but he's more of a linchpin only because he is the basis for the clones.
yeah, exactly. And he trained the clones, so basically I always say in my videos that if you have a movie, for example, and then you release time material around that movie, and you need your time material to justify what you did not explain in your movie, then your movie has a problem. And that's the case, for example, with The Last Jedi and the
Yeah,
sequel trilogy altogether. But when it's vice versa, when you have like Darth Vader, we already know who he is as a villain, and we have a new comic book series expanding on his already well perfect story arc, okay? And I'm also putting the
right.
prequels in there. When you expand on that, that's welcome. That's not, cheating. You're not trying to justify some of the things that Vader hasn't done. Okay, you're expanding on an already complete story. You're just basically perfecting the edges. You're just basically giving more detail into an already established character. And the same thing can be said for Boba Fett. Now, they wanted to make him in the Darth Vader comics, they wanted to make him a little more useful. So basically, Boba Fett was um, he lost to a young Luke Skywalker, before Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, which kind of adds to his obsoleteness, and he is kind of overrated. That I have to say, Boba Fett, and I love him, but I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm not just going to let my nostalgia goggles blind me in the end.
Yep, not anymore.
Nope. I'm done with that.
And Jeff makes the point that in the chat that I was going to make. At least they had Jango Fett going toe to toe with a Jedi Knight,
Yeah, that is 100%. That is
and
100% true. Yeah, and at least he lost to Mace Windu. He didn't lose some, Padawan like a punk. Okay,
yeah,
and
he
like,
loses to one of the strongest Jedi masters of all time.
yeah, yeah, he is one of the strongest of all time, and I do believe that he would have given Anakin Skywalker a very hard time in a duel if they had been pitted together against each other. And I believe that George Lucas didn't pit Anakin versus Windu in Episode 3 because he wanted. It would have taken a lot of time from the story. I believe that's what he also said in an interview, and that's why he put it in the Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith game, basically as an alternative. But I would really wanted to have seen a fight between those two, because what happens on screen to me counts more than what could have happened in a game or a dream sequence or basically a comic. What has to be 100% self sufficient is what goes on screen. And I do not accept the fact that Anakin Skywalker was stronger than Windu because he basically sucker punched him and managed to snip off his arm right before he struck down Palpatine.
Right. I don't believe that he was stronger than him at that time either,
Yeah, I mean
because he hadn't learned if, you know, Mace Windu's fighting style allows him to tap into the dark side of the Force.
yeah,
And as far as I understand it, at that exact moment in time, the only time where Anakin ever tapped into the dark side of the Force is in Attack of the Clones when he slaughters the entire Jawa village.
the yeah, when he goes against the Sand People, you mean?
Or yeah, the Sand People. My mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only
Yeah,
time he ever taps into it, and he doesn't really need to use it per se because he's not fighting anybody of any caliber. He's just going
yeah,
around killing people with essentially pea shooters, and he's using grenades,
yeah.
as a comparison.
True, true, true.
So
But
I think that at the height of his power, was he stronger than Mace Windu? Possibly.
possibly, yeah. I think that the right answer here is possibly. So, yeah. Um, Speaking of the Jedi Order, what did you think? Did you manage to catch the trailer of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from EA?
I did not catch that. I even had somebody send it to me, and I didn't watch it yet because I'm a slacker.
No, it's okay. There's so much information to take in these days.
No,
What about my
last night I was in a conversation on Prime Geek Collector's channel, and we were talking pretty much just about the trailer. And then we ended up talking a whole lot of he has a lot of EU knowledge before they made it all Legends. And he's like, yeah, all of the stuff that they're doing now, they're just, every story that they come up with and every storyline they come up with, they've cherry picked it from some book or some comic book or some, novella or something like that. There are no original ideas since Disney bought it.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong at all. Um, it's
But I've from what I've read on Twitter from people sending stuff around,
yeah.
there's been mostly positive reaction to Fallen Order.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting because it kind of contradicts my view on it, and it's kind of cool that we have opposite views. I'd like to challenge what I hear to what I say.
Ooh,
So, what have you
fantastic.
what have you heard?
Well, I heard that the way that people are looking at it is that they're optimistic because it's Respawn that's building the game, but it's EA that's publishing the game, correct?
Yeah, that's true, and no dice involved, and that's kind
Right.
of
So they're like, well, everybody, at least the gamers that I've talked to in my relatively small social circle, they like Respawn and they don't necessarily like EA because EA is just, the typical AAA company that's like, if we slap Star Wars on it, we'll probably turn a profit. It doesn't necessarily need the greatest content or greatest gameplay. As long as it looks like Star Wars, people will probably buy the game. Because I believe that's how they sold the original Battlefront when it came out before The Force Awakens.
yeah.
And then Battlefront 2, they're like, no, no, we added a story. Don't worry, we added a story. And then people play through it and they're like, the story takes 3.5 hours and there's no galactic conquest. And I was like, why can't you just take the original Battlefront 2, put some
And just
polish on it, and
yeah,
re
remake
release
it.
it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they you see under the Disney license, they want to be able to sell a new story, new characters. They just want to experiment with some new ideas, and they do not want to recycle some old stuff. That's one of the main reasons why I said in one of my videos that I rendered, and I'm going to be posting later, that the problem with Star Wars fans, and I'm going to admit this, okay, I love Star Wars to death, but one of the problems that I see with myself and with other people as well that also love Star Wars as much as I do is that we are too cynical. Basically, we're too skeptic to accept new people, okay, to accept new characters into the story, and we do not want to see old characters come back, except like Han, Luke, and Leia. But basically, in the basis of like Palpatine coming back, a lot of people are skeptical. They're like, yeah, JJ, he doesn't have Snoke anymore, kind of destroyed by Ryan Johnson, being split in two, and now he has no other option but to play the dead Palpatine card again and scrape the bottom of the barrel. Now, my view on this whole thing is obviously I can agree with that. I can respect that perspective, and that is a problem that I see in Star Wars Fallen Order, the new game by EA. So
Is it looks good, but people are cynical and skeptical of it because of what we've gotten over the last, let's say, 4 years.
yeah, look, I mean, I think that people are too thirsty for a new game to sit back and at least think that, hey, you know what is this game going to serve? You always have to ask the question, why? Why do we want these characters? Why do we want this game to be released? Is it going to expand on the story? And there is a problem when you take the story between episode 3, specifically before episode 4, when you take that time gap and you're about to introduce an Order 66 survivor and you make too many stories regarding them, like you have Star Killer, but that's no longer, or at least I don't think that it was ever canon, okay, in the Force Unleashed games. And then you have
Yep,
Ezra
which I've
Bridger in
played both
Rebels.
of those, and they're fun games.
They are fun. They are fun. But the thing is, the fact that they're fun kind of contradicts the whole story narrative. And where I'm going with this is that if you have so many Jedi survivors after Order 66, and we are meant as audience members to invest our time and our liking to the new protagonists that we meet, we're going to be like, okay, where was this character during the Clone Wars? Why didn't we know about them till then? So are you just pulling this out of your ass, EA? And I can understand their frustration, and I can back this up because this means in the long run, and if you think about it, Darth Vader, it was said that after Order 66, no Jedi survived. Okay, you can get a few survivors that basically Darth Vader snuffs out in the galaxy as he hunts for Jedi, okay? And we have Bonnie on. So, hi Bonnie, how have you been doing?
I'm good. How about you?
We're doing great. So we're just talking about the tricky business of Star Wars Fallen Order and introducing new characters to the already existing canon. Okay, like Iden Versio and all of these guys, they yeah, okay, we don't care because they're ex-Imperials and we get a perspective. That's okay. But if you get a Jedi survivor, that means that they are diminishing Darth Vader's ability to hunt down Jedi. I mean, like, who is this Jedi that can basically hide from Vader? Does that mean that this Jedi is too good for Vader? Does Vader suck in the end? Is he not efficient? So it's one of the two in the long run, and that's why I'm kind of skeptic for Fallen Order.
Well,
So
I guess for
it's
me, I think it's I think they're trying to change too much of what already happened and what was already laid out to basically, I guess, make their stories make sense. And in the end, it's screwing up everything that was originally Star Wars. So for me, yeah, like you were saying, it is hard to accept new characters, but it's mostly because I feel like they're just erasing everything that was laid out beforehand and turning it into what they need it to be in order to make their stories work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not wrong there. And Stephanie has joined the chat. Hey, it's so good to have you two guys here.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Steph.
Hey, Bonnie. Hey, by the way, last night, I'm still laughing my ass off.
I know, right? You missed the whole truth or dare last night too.
I know,
Oh,
and part of me is wish I'd been there. Part of me is scared to find out what you guys are talking about. I still have to listen to it.
it wasn't bad. It was much better than the previous show. Trust me.
Oh God. Okay. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm eating cheese right now. That was funny though, man. You guys should have heard that. That was funny shit.
What was
I
this
woke up
about?
still laughing. You know. So
Oh,
hey, what's up? What's new, guys?
We're just
Star
discussing.
Wars news.
we're we're discussing what we got basically in the trailers and regarding the whole
All right.
news that we got. And um, I also wanted to bounce this off of you, Steph. This thing that I was discussing earlier, when you introduce new characters into canon that survived Order 66 in the long run, basically, does that mean that they were uh, that they were able to outsmart Vader? Does this mean that they were that powerful, or does this mean that Darth Vader's ability to take out Jedi was diminished? Because one of the two has to stand. Both cannot be. Both points cannot stand. One of the two has to make sense. So that either means Darth Vader sucked, or these Jedi were like too smart for Vader.
Well, there is going to be something where it would make sense. Well, Yoda lived. Obi-Wan got away with it for a long time. The fact that there might be other Jedi that got the word and didn't go back and went into hiding
Yeah.
makes sense. And weren't caught. He was still looking for them when the rebellion started. And you know what I'm saying? So I wasn't there a Jedi Master that Leia trained with in the EU? she trained with Luke, and then she went to somebody else. How could somebody be a Jedi Master when there weren't any? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't really bother me that somebody would get away or go so deep into hiding that he
Well, I
would
was
find
gonna say
attention.
they halfway gave us a solution in The Last Jedi when they just say, "Oh, well, you can just disconnect yourself from the Force and nobody can sense where you are."
Well,
Yeah,
to be fair, this was also present in the Plagueis books, where Darth Plagueis would have to cement himself in the physical realm and completely like vanish from the Force when he was in the presence of Jedi like Sifo Dyas and Dooku, so that he doesn't give away like his signature in the Force that he is a Force wielder. So maybe some Jedi did that for protection. I never thought of that.
yeah.
That's a very valid point.
I mean, it kind of makes you wonder if Obi-Wan did that, to a large extent when he was on Tatooine, you
I
know?
think I think that he didn't, because otherwise he wouldn't have been able to take out Maul so quickly. And
Yeah,
I believe that the reason why he also went to Tatooine was twofold, because Luke had family there, and that was the very reason why Vader would never go looking to Obi-Wan on Tatooine, because Tatooine is a place where it holds a lot of sentimental value and hate for Vader at the same time. So he's like, yeah, I would never go back there.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
he'll never
yeah.
go
And
to
that's exactly
Tatooine and it's
right.
full of sand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
that's,
Anakin hated sand.
Yeah.
yep, yep. And it's, yeah, so everything you're saying makes sense. Um, but yeah, I mean, I have not seen the Mandalorian trailer yet. I have not seen the Clone Wars trailer. It just came out. And it looks to me, just by the way they've been talking, uh, Filoni and um,
Favreau.
Favreau, that they're the ones in charge. I am not kidding you. It's very obvious. They're very connected. They're doing what they want to do. They're making stuff that they like because they know the fans will like. And the movies are going on hiatus, and the movies have fallen flat on their faces because the wrong people were making them. You
Yeah.
know, and it just you know. So yeah, that's what everybody's saying, but I still have to see them yet. And the trailer, I don't know, meh. It almost looks like the beginning was a training montage.
Yeah.
I can't take that seriously, you know. And it it then the rest of it with Luke's voiceover, who is he talking to? Is he talking to Ray or a bunch of people? Is this a hologram of a speech he gave? What is it?
I think that
I
basically when he says we plural, sorry to interject, when he says we, I think that he's talking as, like the last Jedi master representing all past masters before him. So basically the
Yeah,
knowledge that,
but look at the images that are going with it. You've got the Hans medal, Leia holding it,
yeah,
Leia and Ray hugging, not like, I mean, that's like how you hug your mother, you know.
yeah, true.
That's how like your mother hugs you, and then you've got Luke saying, "We are always with you," and
Hmm.
it's like, I I need to know. I need more information. I really, really do,
I,
and I'm not trusting anybody's. Oh, I've got the spoilers. It's like the last time this happened, the last time I believed something, and TLJ came out and is like,
Yeah.
F all of you, F all of you, F all of you, F all of you. I'm not gonna listen to you anymore.
No,
You know?
sorry, my sister said she had a very cool point when we were talking the other day. She said one of the main reasons why The Last Jedi failed was because the fans were let down, were destined to be let down.
Yeah.
And she said that when you're going to episode 9, my sister said if you want to enjoy this movie, do not make the mistake that we did in the previous two movies, like going in hyped. Because she said I saw your reaction to the trailer. She's like, calm your jets, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was. I mean, I watched the one part that I started crying was when Leia was holding that medal.
Yeah,
And it started making me think, and I made that video using juxtaposition what Obi-Wan said what Luke was saying to whomever, Ray or somebody, and then I used a little bit of the part where she's holding the medal and the hug, and talked about what that might mean. Other than that, I mean, I got emotional. Then I
Yeah.
was like, okay, you know what? I need more information.
My reaction was totally opposite of your guys's. My reaction was, first of all, since when do you have the Matrix in Star Wars? Mary Sue Ray is still just as strong as she's ever been, which means she has not failed and learned anything. Then I was like, that's not her saber. That is Anakin and Luke's saber. So why are they saying it's hers? Then I was like, when they said the title was Rise of the Skywalker, I'm like, what in the world? No, they're not making Rey a Skywalker. Please, God, no. And all I thought was, you know what? This just made me want to not watch it even more than I already didn't want to watch it.
They
So I
didn't.
had totally the opposite reaction.
No,
And when Palpatine came into it, my thought was, wait a minute. Palpatine exploded in a ball of light. How
Yeah.
in the world are they bringing him back? They just destroyed everything George did in 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm done.
That's
Star
true.
Wars
That is true.
dead. My first thing I said to my husband when I picked him up the next morning was, I am going to go outside. I'm going to get 2 sticks, tie them together in a cross. Right on that cross, here lies Star Wars, and it's going to be the burial for Star Wars because it's dead. It's done. They
Yeah.
killed it. That's it.
Well, I mean, to me, when I was harking back to the Dark Empire books, because that's what that is. That's they go to, what do they do? Go to Endor and discover his essence wandering around.
But Disney's too stupid to do something that smart.
Well, but you know what? He just admitted out loud in public that they brought Lucas in. So George is part of this, And it's like, you know what? I've known that for a while. Why this is suddenly a shock for everybody. It's whatever. But I'm like going, you know what? I'm going to be a cynic. I have demands. They need to be met. I don't care if it's mediocre. If those demands are met, I will be somewhat mollified. But you're going to have to go on hiatus. Apologize to everybody.
I have demands too, and my demands are much steeper than yours. Mine are that they get complete and total control of Star Wars back to George Lucas. They tell the fans they're sorry. They completely retcon everything that they did except for Rogue One. I will accept that. And they walk away and fire everybody at Lucasfilm that screwed it up.
Yeah.
That is the only way I will forgive them. The only way.
I would agree. I would agree with that,
Otherwise, Star Wars is dead.
Steph, I think that we were engaged in a chat where some people were saying things about Dave Filoni, where they were saying, like, don't take Dave Filoni's work too seriously because he was being chastised and oppressed, and George Lucas had him on a short leash, and that is complete bullshit.
Yeah, because he was actually
that work. The Clone Wars was not the work of a man that was on a short leash. The Last Jedi was the work of a man on a short leash.
Yeah.
The thing is, Dave Filoni was George's apprentice. He should have been the one put in control because he knows Star Wars the way George did.
He does. He knows Star Wars as a creative, like executive, like an executive producer. Now, he is not like president material, because one of the things that I've understood in the course of my life is that you can have someone that is very creative, that is very humble, that is very good at what they do, and as soon as you put them in a position of power, they completely lose their creativity. Not because they get arrogant, and in most cases it does happen, but because they have new responsibilities to uphold and undertake that will not allow them to be as creative as they used to be before they gained that position of power. So in a way, I'm happy that Filoni is not directly as involved as Kathleen Kennedy in Lucasfilm and having that much power. But I take him over Pablo Hidalgo any day.
My opinion of it was they should have left him in creative control of everything and just put somebody over him to run the business side of it.
Yeah.
And leave him alone to do his thing. That's what should have been done.
The thing is, the giant pile of crap, them saying no one wanted the job when they were trying to get rid of Kathleen last summer.
Do you think that's a lie, right?
No, it's true.
No one wanted the job?
Well, nobody wants it because she's destroyed it, and the fans are too mad right now. They don't want no part of that.
Lucasfilm was nothing but a cesspool of toxic, toxic whatever. And it, I'm just like, I would have taken the job. You pay me $200,000 a year and pay so I can go back and forth because I'm not moving to fucking Los Angeles. Okay. There you go right there. Second of all, I get to hire and fire who I want. All right.
Yep.
I get complete control of this mess because someone has to clean it up. And trust me, the first person who would go is Pablo. The second person who would go is his wife. The third person who would go is that Andy Gutierrez.
Oh yeah, did you see her? Did you see that bloody shill on that live Star Wars show?
Yeah.
She's such a hypocrite, man.
Yeah. And the fact that they use, here's what you do with these people. You trap them. You get them, you flesh them out on Twitter. So they're acting like trolls. You collect as much damaging, what the shitty things they've said to people over the years. And then when it's time to give them the boot, you say, you know who this was that you're crabbing on just because I asked you a question? That was me. You're fired. That's exactly what you do. Can you imagine? Anybody left would be like, I don't have Twitter anymore. Which is great. They shouldn't be on it if they can't deal with it. Someone has to go in there and clean it up, and it wouldn't bother me that, it's a cesspool. Well, it won't be after I'm done. They're just people in Hollywood are chicken shit.
And go drain the swamp.
Yeah. And it's I don't know what. When she walked out there, and you notice how she snuck out there onto the stage, Kathy, she didn't just wait to be called out. She snuck out. The reason why is because she was going to get booed, because when people did notice she was out there, you could hear the boos. You could hear them.
Oh, yeah. Well, did you notice when they introduced them, they didn't introduce Kathleen Kennedy. They said Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams as fast as possible.
Yeah, because they knew that she was going to get stamped on.
That would have been hilarious.
Why she
then you confuse all the people because they go, well, I wanted to boo, but I do kind of like J.J. Abrams, so I'll just sit here quietly.
Well, yeah. I'm not going to boo JJ. I don't hate him like some people do. I just don't care. You know what I'm saying? It's like, meh, he, whatever. It was really funny. SC Reviews put a video up about what really happened when they killed off Han Solo. And apparently it was JJ and Kathleen's idea. And Iger said, okay, fine, because he's like, well, you've got to understand that you've got to respect the past, but we have to innovate too. And I'm going, I want to force choke all three of you right now. Because if you ever remember, they always blame Ford for this. But when you when you peel back the onion, it was their decision. Okay. He was paid at least for 2 movies, if not 3. All right.
Steph, a quick question for Kathleen Kennedy. Now that I'm actually browsing Twitter, I just want you to confirm something for me. Kathleen Kennedy has 0 to minimum involvement with Clone Wars, or is she not involved at all?
She's not involved at all.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because she did not want to bring it back, and when they brought that back, that was proof enough to me that something is going on there. Now there are people out there that want to just disagree with us and attacked Craig when he said, "This is happening. She's not going to be there very long. They can't find anybody to take over for her, but she's in trouble. She's been set aside." Just watching her up there on the days, it's like, you didn't do anything for this movie. You had nothing to do with it. What are you here for? Why? And
she's there to cut a check.
I was laughing to myself
because she's the figurehead.
So,
She's the
But yeah,
figurehead. She's the
it's,
statue.
you know, hello, guys,
Yeah.
guys. All right, okay, that was
Yeah,
weird.
it's because she is the figurehead. She is the statue. She doesn't mean anything. She doesn't do anything. She's just there
Yeah,
to make herself look good and make them look good. And in
yeah. Well,
reality, we don't
yeah,
care.
because we know what she's doing. She's not doing anything but collecting a check. I mean, I still like to know is Craig kept telling people the new head of Lucasfilm is filming a movie right now. I'd like to know who that is. You know, I really would. And I think it might be JJ for some reason. I don't know why. Don't quote me on that. Or it's George himself. I'll put that out there. You know, he's back. I don't
Wow.
know anybody else who would fit in that job and let Star Wars just be Star Wars. You know? But anyway, I don't know. It's
Uh,
just too.
Steph, I just got a notification from on YouTube right now because my computer and my connection has been kind of slow. Um, and I've been reading a lot of these things on Twitter right now. What is this Reddit rumor that has been going on that's saying that if it's true, it's going to completely screw up episode 9?
Well, there are two of them, and the when I actually see, I was it was my mother-in-law's birthday today, so we took her out to dinner or lunch. So I couldn't read it fully, so I finally did. I just skimmed it before, and I was like, "You guys, this is bullshit. This is utter bullshit." Okay, only one part seems kind of like it might be, and it has something to do with the speech on a hologram that Luke is giving, and it basically gets broadcast all over the galaxy, and it's sort of, you know what I'm saying? So that might actually be the voiceover. I don't know that we heard, but still, I don't think so. The rumor was they go on this MacGuffin chase all over the place looking for the Sith thing, and end up at Endor. And to me, I'm like, and it's Ray is the one uh, doing it, and I'm like, that's stupid. That's not. I mean, if George Lucas is actually helping write this, he would not approve that. I mean, he'd be like, no, we can't do that. That's just dumb.
Yeah.
And
So
it,
here's the Twitter that I just found. Kathleen Kennedy says Palpatine's return was always in the blueprint for a long time. We had not landed on exactly how we might do that, but it was always to
Lies.
be in episode 9.
Well,
Really?
they
also
didn't.
full of
They
shit.
First
didn't
of
know how
all,
they were going to do something. Shocker.
Yeah, they.
she wasn't even involved in episode 9, so how does she know anything about it?
I know.
And
This was a lie.
secondly,
You don't need to be involved in episode 9 to know it's a lie. Basically, this tweet translate: "Holy shit, Ryan Johnson completely fucked us over with Snoke. We do not have a villain. Please, we are out of ideas."
Yeah,
yeah, but the
that's
whole thing
exactly
is
what that
why
means.
even the whole thing is by bringing Palpatine back, you basically just spit on everything that came before that.
Yeah,
See, now
yeah.
I'm not
Anakin's
100%
story, Luke's
sure that they're
story,
bringing
all
him
of it.
back.
I don't. You know what? Here's the deal. When I heard that laugh and they're standing there looking at the Death Star, what does this all mean? To me, I envision either a clone or a Force ghost, but there's something that will make it, and it'll be something where he can actually manipulate the living and stuff like that. And that to me kind of makes sense then. Or they're pulling a Dark Empire and they find a clone there, or there's
Uh,
something about it. But
I
this
have a
is
worse option.
what?
It's just his voice inside of a holocron, and they go and find the holocron, and it speaks to them.
Yeah, yeah. But
Because
then
then
of
it's
course
just a physical object that they're going to find because they said they're going to find this Sith thing and it leads them to Endor and
yeah,
it's supposed to be a physical object. The only thing I was thinking, I was like, well, Sith and Jedi are always looking for holocrons and you can put any kind of information you want into it. Like
yeah,
you can put files that are just like sheets of paper essentially. You could put a video in it. You can put whatever you want in a holocron. So that's what I think it is. I don't think he's actually in the movie.
That's pure rubbish, man. How did Ray go from scrubbing spare parts to hunting for holocrons? Please give me a break,
I
man.
don't know. But here this makes more sense. They're still being hunted by the First Order. Leia needs allies, so she sends the two dweebs, Finn and Poe, one place, and Ray and somebody else to something else to try to get allies. And Lando, of course, shows up. Of course, he should have showed up right away, like the moment Starkiller Base went down and all that crap. He should have showed up in the Lady Luck saying, "Do you need my help?" You know, it just to me, it's just no. It's like when you're making a trilogy, you have to have a plan. If you're not going to have a plan, don't expect people to go, "Oh, I loved it," because then it doesn't make any sense. And we're not going to get anything that makes any sense unless JJ just says, admits this is a duology, and that TLJ doesn't have anything to do with it, you know? But here's how I found out that rumor was wrong. It takes place 5 years after TLJ and TFA.
I don't think it's 5. I think it's about a year or two tops.
No, the rumor said 5 years after. The Reddit rumor. And I'm like, no, it's a year after. That's what everyone's saying that actually knows what they're doing. Okay, that's how I figured it out. Also, no flashbacks at all. And the big rumor, and I think it's true, is that Matt Smith is playing young Palpatine. Okay.
Maybe a young clone of him, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, he's playing young Palpatine. And I know there's going to be flashbacks. I wouldn't even, I mean, to me, it looks like Richard E. Grant might actually be playing Tarkin's son. You know that? He looks like him. You know? But
yeah, I think that the chronology fits.
Well, yeah. The chronology is a year after TLJ and TFA. Okay, so that's it. That's the official. That's what the guys that made the movie said. That's what John Boyega posted. That's what everybody else has said. So it's not 5 years. Now the second rumor was totally TLJ heavy, and we know they're retconning it because they basically said they're retconning it, and everyone's freaking out. And it's like, oh, I just got a Raylo posting on my anti-Raylo thing, and we have to delete it and ban the fucker. Anyway, which is what I do. I don't let them talk. I don't let them on my channel. They're not allowed. They're not human. Okay, they're not.
True.
Anyway, this rumor is totally TLJ centric. I can't remember all of it, but the one part I thought was just, made me, Bonnie, this will make you sick. They're still force Skyping Ren and Ray.
Oh,
in fact,
good
they
God.
manifest their physical presence with each other. They fall in love.
Oh,
They fall in love.
please.
And of course there's a baby and everything. I'm like, I can only take so much bullshit.
Okay, it's a good thing I'm not eating anything.
But you know what pisses me off?
Okay, with that being said, guys, I love being here, and I'll have to jump on another time. I have to get the husband up for work, but thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, sure. My panel's always open, Bonnie. Nice having you on.
Right.
Talking to you extra long.
Thanks for having me, guys. Talk to y'all later.
Bonnie.
Later.
Bye, Bonnie.
Bye.
All right. So, Steph, one thing that has been wildly insinuated during the first day of the panel. What do you think? Do you believe that Finn and Poe are going to be in a homosexual relationship?
No. No. It's really funny when Stephen Colbert, who's an idiot by the way, mentioned Raylo. It was almost like Daisy got physically grossed out by it. Look at the look on her face. And they asked John Boyega, and they both basically said, "There's not enough time for any of that." I mean, they have to. This is the last thing we need. We're dealing with trying to tie the thing up without any bullshit to get in the way, and TLJ was full of bullshit that got in the way.
Yeah.
Because, the director wanted to rub himself all over the damn thing. And he did. He really did. Thanks, for that, Ryan, prick. So anyway, did you guys hear this? That let's see, Anna, that Star Wars girl, was walking down the hall. She saw a guy giving her a duck glare. He was on the phone. It was Brian Young.
Oh, I saw Jeremy giving his hand to Ryan Young.
Yeah, did that. Shook his hand. I mean, it's really funny. Is the people at Star Wars Explained, Jeremy called out to him, and they ignored him completely. They ignored him completely.
Well, I don't think that his wife allows him to speak to other people. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't think his wife looks. I'd like to say, do you want a sandwich? A cheeseburger, because she's just so. She's probably a crazy vegan, which probably is the reason why she's nuts.
Yeah.
Because she is really skinny. Holy crap!
Man, what makes me sad with Alex from Star Wars Explained, I have been following him for years. I love this fact until one fateful day, when the whole Kathleen Kennedy being fired from Lucasfilm just before she got an extra 3 years renewal on her contract, he just goes against the fans and he starts attacking them. He has his master there, because that's not his wife, that's his master. Like, he's a slave to her, whatever she says. I mean, like, other guys go to their women and are like, "Hey, baby, what's up?" And every time he sees her, he's like, "What's thy bidding, my master?" That's how much he shields his wife, man. And he basically just went at it against the fans. He's like, "Yeah, so these are the claims of a madman, and the Last Jedi, and the Force Awakens was awesome, and yeah, the Last Jedi." And leave your salt comments and your dislikes and your shell comments below. And basically, he was making fun of the fans, the very same fan base that got him to the subscriber count he was now. I instantly unsubscribed to him, because that was
the video where he said, "Oh, I'm not even going to read the comments on this one because I know they're all going to be negative."
Yeah. What a prick, man. It's like, imagine me today. I'm at 260 subs right now. Imagine if I go, for example, from 260 subs to maybe 200,000 subscribers, and then I make this comment like against all of you guys and say, "Huh, you're all idiots. I really love The Last Jedi, and it's awesome." And then you can see my chain being tugged because I have this woman behind my back with a shotgun to my head and say, "You better say you love The Force Awakens too. You better say that. You want some of this, you better say that."
Yeah, that's exactly that's exactly the thing. I mean, that's what is going on with Jason Ward and that little beetle that he's married to.
What is it, Amanda?
Yeah. Oh, she's just, she's creepy looking.
She's also one of the most awful human beings that I have ever met.
Yeah, she's terrible. I mean, she's turned her husband into a complete cuck.
Yep.
I mean, that's, and these girls are just, and the guys just, and it's true. I mean, it's really, really funny. If you guys watch Sticks and Hammer 666, he posted a great video about beta males and how they sort of kind of navigate the mating dance, and they behave that way to get laid.
Yeah, true. Like, respect women, because if I respect them, they'll touch my pee-pee finally after 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's it.
Well,
I
in my when I actually when I broke off my engagement and my whole relationship with the girl that I was, looking back, I was in a relationship with an Amanda Ward, with a with an SJW type girl. Now, she wasn't full of social justice, but she was the kind of girl that had to take the initiative in the relationship, and she could, be a man for to lead in the relationship. Okay, I get the fact that she was older than me by 6 years, but I felt kind of beta, and I thought to myself that if I continue this way, I'm going to be one of those people that I see and I pity, and I don't want to pity myself. And eventually, if you're a beta male, you get cheated on. Fact. It is like it's a law of nature. And I said that I will not be with this woman so that I can marry her and divorce her a few years later, just so that I can actually like score an extra 2 years of us being together and me being miserable.
Yeah.
I wasn't that kind of a relationship. I do admit I was in a phase of my life where I was beta, and that is why I called it off. Plus, she also said Star Wars sucks, so she's gone.
Yeah. 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 But anyway, I mean, I don't know how I felt about. I really wish, honestly, I would really wish I had been able to go. I had a chance to go. My sister wanted to, but I really thought there was going to be fights. I thought there was going to be rioting. I really, really thought. I mean, honest to God. So I said, I'm not going. So far, it's been real peaceful.
It
I
makes
think
sense
that,
it was that way.
yeah. Well, I'm glad it did too. I'm glad, but I really don't see. I see Brian Young egging somebody on to go up and punch somebody. I don't see him doing that. Um, I see somebody just out of the blue doing something like that. Some, like how it would happen in the quartering. You're out at a bar, someone recognizes you and beats the shit out of you and runs away. You know, because they didn't like what you said about TLJ, which is, I foresaw that happen. I told Rose, I don't want to go, and she's not in any shape to go to be involved in something like that. So I was like, rubbing my chin. I don't want to go. Now I wish I had. Because hanging out with Jesse and uh, Brian Leip and those guys and Jeff and everybody would have been hilarious. It would have been so funny. I mean, it really would have been a blast. And I wish I had gone.
Yeah.
I mean, just to feel.
Next year, I'm actually thinking of traveling from Greece to the US just for celebration, just for a few days. I'm thinking of, I think that it would be worth it. It's like a pilgrimage.
I thought
Well,
that they weren't having it for another 2 years.
oh,
Well,
really?
be it
Yeah,
2 years, 2 years, it's fine by me. I don't have a problem. I'll be older then. I will have saved up even more. So that, that's
that's
not a problem
interesting.
by me.
That's very interesting.
Well,
I mean,
basically, Bob Iger said in an interview that he wants to dial down the Star Wars stuff, and I don't think
yeah,
that they're going to set up uh, an event as expensive as Celebration just for something like a video game title or maybe a new TV series. I mean, like it has to be an episodic film, something like that.
yeah. I don't. I mean, they're going on hiatus. Kennedy acts like she's still in control. Iger says,
You could see
"Oh,
how uncomfortable she was. Did you see her reaction on the panel? She was like, "Get me the hell out of here."
yeah," because she knew she didn't have anything to do with the movie. She was just up there, hi, I'm here, and 75% of the audience wants to chase her away with sticks and torches. Ah, I mean,
No,
I
we're gonna chase her away with blasters and lightsabers.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll eat the
properly.
blasters. Put me on my horse, I'll catch her. Me and Kay. Oh my God. No, that would be Kay would be like, no, I know. She would be what a pain in the ass that horse can be when she gets scared or upset. Oh my God. It's like having 12, it's like having a 1,200-pound uh, anxiety filled animal running around and there's no reason to be. She just decided, I'm afraid of that now. Oh, okay. You've seen it 100 times. Now you're scared of it. Idiot. I mean,
Oh
they
man.
do. They
New
well,
theory, new theory. Sorry, this just in. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker theory suggests Kylo Ren is actually Darth Plagueis.
Oh my gosh.
well, um, that is that Star Wars? Is that from Star Wars Theory?
No, that is comicbook.com. Star Wars theory isn't dumb enough to post shit like this.
I mean, I can't. You know what? I'll tell you guys what I was excited about before TLJ came out and ruined our lives. Um, my friend, who is a movie director, who has contacts inside Lucasfilm and people that know people there and that were on the set of TLJ and all the rest of that stuff, sent me this long thing about what it was going to be. We find out that Kyle Ron was adopted, that Luke had found him and bought him off this really bad guy. He was a little baby, just a brand new newborn. Leia was having trouble carrying child till full term, and was basically upset. I mean, she was going through a lot, and so was Han. They were both trying to deal with this, and they had lost a baby boy. Luke shows up with this kid. They adopted him. They named him Ben. Now go back and what does he say to Han? Your son is dead. I destroyed him. Okay, think about that.
Right.
Does that make, that's a pretty, that's interesting to me. Okay, let's go further. So Luke takes the kid because he's strong in the Force to train him at the academy. Leia gets pregnant again. This time she carries the baby girl to full term, and that is Rey. And then all the stuff happens, and you don't and you don't know really. I mean, the thing that Han was already kind of gone when she was born. So Leia apparently gave the baby to Luke to raise at the academy. But I'm not buying that, because to me it's bothered me to this day. How the hell did he lose the Falcon? And not the way those story groups said. How? What was he doing? Why would he lose the Millennium Falcon? He would not do that. Looking for his kid. All right? Because it always struck me when he's watching Kylo Ren carry her away, he's seen him do this before. Okay? All right? Imagine him and Luke landing in the Falcon and the X-Wing and seeing all this stuff take place. Luke's academy is gone. And seeing that little girl being dragged away by this guy. Han doesn't know it's the kid they raised. And when he finds out, because remember what he said when she goes, when they're asking him about Luke, he almost spits the name out. He's still angry about something, and I took it as him. Something didn't go. He's still bitter about something. Okay, now is it Kylo Ren? Maybe not. Maybe something else. All right. So I thought, okay, this is gonna be a great reveal. 3 days before the movie comes out, Grace Randolph is like, "Here's the spoilers," and I was like, "I'm on Messenger with Lee, going, you've got to be kidding me." He goes, "I know, the little bastard, I know." But yeah, that's what I heard, and it would have worked. Think about it. It would have worked. That would have been great. And if it ends up being that he really isn't their son, still, and it still could happen, and that she is their daughter, that would be fine by me. I'd be like, see, because it's really hard for me to believe that anybody that an actual blood, a son, would do that to Han. His son would do that to him. That was so disturbing to me, and still is.
Right. Typically, when you're family members, you just chop a limb off.
Yeah. Or
you can't do it directly, on your first go, especially when Snoke isn't there physically.
Yeah.
To add more pressure. Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
Well, what if this? If you, all right, let's say, like, instead of having him do what he did, because we know the contract was 2 or 3 movies, how about he walks away from Han? Then you have the conflict. Then you're not going, I want to kill him. I hate him. I want to kill him. Okay. Then you're like, he walked away from doing something that he is bidden to do. All right. And now that makes him weak in the eyes of his mentor. Mm-hmm. And it makes him torn. Instead of doing what he did, which everyone's like, I was so pissed off. I was like, I can't, and I knew it was going to happen. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You got it. Why would you do it this way?
Right.
And it just, if he'd walked away from him, I think Kylo Ren would be a better character. All right. I honestly think he would have been a better, more interesting, a character you could empathize with. All right. But in this form, no, I can't. I mean, you know, and then Adam Driver saying he didn't like TFA, he hated doing that, and he was worried about what the fans would think. Don't worry, Adam. You've got a bunch of brand new fans who want to gang rape you, okay? Because they think you're just the cat's meow. They don't know anything about Star Wars, you know, but they think they think Kyle Ryan is just awesome. So, this is me. I can't anymore. So I'm just, being quiet. I'm going to watch and see what happens. The fact that JJ finally admitted that, yeah, we've got Uncle George here trying to help us is a huge admittance, I think, and it's one that needed to be out there in public. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm cynical. I need more information,
Right.
because JJ was part and parcel to what happened. And if he had made better decisions and really thought about it, we might not be living in this, seeing the Saga film so screwed up. Anyway.
Yeah,
so,
he should have had George help him with episode 7.
Yeah. Well, could have used George's treatments and the art that they pulled and everything. And the fact that George had a specific identity for Rey to have. And it wasn't Rey Nobody, Rey Palpatine, Rey the Cyborg, Rey the Clone, Rey Kenobi, Rey anything. She was supposed to be Han and Leia's lost daughter. That's what Kira Solo. And I honestly, it's interesting for me because looking at all this now, I'm looking at this episode and some of the stuff that people have been saying, it sounds a little bit like what George wanted to do in the first place. All right. So it might be a jumbled up mess, but it also might be good. We might be surprised. If he had anything to do with it, we might be very pleasantly surprised. But anyway, God, bringing the Emperor back. You might be right, though. He might just be a hologram.
Yeah, because they couldn't. That's where if you're a Jedi, that's where you're going to get all your knowledge from. If there's no other Jedi out there to learn from.
Yeah.
And if that's what their quest is supposed to be, is that they're supposed to be finding some artifact and it leads them to Endor, because I remember all the rumors. They're like, oh, they're rebuilding the sets for Endor so that they can go back to that planet. And I was like, oh, so they can fuck something else up. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, if there's one thing that I've learned from watching JJ, or generally Star Wars for that matter, because Ryan Johnson also had this problem. When you watch trailers and you hear all of the speculation, you hear that all of these actors are coming on board, and you think, oh my God, what significant role are they going to be playing? And then you get Luke Skywalker, 30 seconds in The Force Awakens. Completely punked out like a little bitch in The Last Jedi. Then you hear that he's going to be returning for episode 9. You're like, oh my God, my last chance to see Luke Skywalker on the big screen. And he's basically just going to be a voiceover, just a cameo appearance, nothing special. The same thing applies for Billy Dee Williams. Yeah. He's not going to play for more than 5 minutes of screen time, and we're getting hyped because we think that they're going to play a significant part in the movie.
Well, my thing is, what's he doing flying the Falcon? What's going on there?
What I heard when I was messaging with Entertainment Hacker, I was like, you see who's on the Falcon with him? You only see one other character, and it's Chewbacca. Interesting that they take the only 2 legacy characters left, and they put them on a ship together. And he's like, oh, well, maybe they'll kamikaze or something and kill somebody. And I was like, oh man. I was like, well, maybe it'll be worth it, unlike when Finn tried to kamikaze.
Well, here's the deal. I'm watching that. Who's in the rest of the ship? Just because you only see them doesn't mean there's not other people on the ship.
Right. There could totally be somebody else in the back. It's not a small ship.
Because the reason why I'm saying that is because the first scene they filmed, Rey, Finn, and Poe on the Falcon. And you can see Chewie in it too, because I saw the pictures. They're all sitting on the
Okay.
Falcon. So it's like, oh, so I don't know. Now, I gotta say this about the trailer. The trailer for Rogue One, I don't think we saw one scene that was in
Nope.
the trailer that was in the movie.
Yeah, I keep hearing that. That was the other excuse.
Yeah, but when you're look JJ's trailers, because I went back and watched the Force Awakens one. The only things that we didn't get were Maz asking Rey, "Who are you?" and then Leia saying, "It's all up to you now." Everything else was in it. Everything else in the movie that was in the trailer was in the movie. So
well, good. Now I don't have to do that.
yeah. So so I'm like going, this is two different directors. They're trying to, basically, I hate the word fan service, because I don't want to see, like a character like Lando go on there only to be killed. That's bullshit. And that's not fan service. That's like, oh, there he is. Okay, now he's dead.
Right.
And that's the thing that bothered me about all that. But JJ doesn't necessarily not include what you saw in the trailer in the movie. That's the difference.
True. And I'm not sure, because I assume it's got to be similar marketing teams that do all the marketing for the Lucasfilm movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because I know when they were talking about Rogue One, they went back to Gareth Edwards and he was like, you guys do realize that none of these scenes that I gave to you that you put in the trailer are going to be in the movie. And the marketing team said to him, oh, don't worry about it. They make for a good trailer. People will be fine. And I watched the whole movie, and the movie is pretty decent. I mean, it's definitely the best one that Disney's ever made.
Yep.
But then I got to the end, and I was like, wait a second. I didn't see this. I didn't see this. I didn't see this. I was like, then you go back and you look up all the trailers, and you're like, the son of a bitch, we didn't see anything from the trailers.
Yeah. I think, though, that we're probably going to see stuff that was in the trailers in the movie, in this one, because, I mean, JJ doesn't have a choice, and he's got to play it safe, because they know the fans are pissed.
Yeah, I think they're going to try and give away as much as possible, as in the fan service. Here's Lando, here's Palpatine, here's Leia, here's Luke. They're all going to be in the movie. You have to see this movie. We're not going to tell you how long they're in the movie, because then you might not show up.
Yeah, well, and also, when you're watching, when you're thinking about that, they know they have to play it safe with the story. You know what I'm saying? They can't go off in some experimental film school.
Yeah, especially when they're marketing it as the end of the saga.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? Okay, what am I not getting? No, I did that video about the trailer, positioning what Obi-Wan said to Luke and what Luke is saying to Rey, or Rey in the entire galaxy, or Rey in a group of people. But he's saying
whatever the voiceover is.
Yeah. Whoever he's talking to, it's the exact same thing, different wording that Obi-Wan said to Luke when he was talking about what the Jedi did. For 1,000 generations, the Jedi guarded peace in the galaxy. It's basically what Luke says. Then you go into the medal, and it's Leia holding it, and that matronly, that parent, mommy, daughter hug, with Luke saying, "We will always be with you. No one ever really dies." And
yeah, which to me is like, oh, so there are no stakes in the movie because nobody's ever gone.
Yeah. Well, it's no one's ever really gone. So it's like, and that when he said that, when he says that to me says that's him talking to somebody, not to a group of people or the galaxy and whatever. He's talking to somebody, because the trailer is so personal to Rey. Everybody else is just there hanging out, doing whatever, and there she is. So it's, to me, I gotta say, the trailer was meh, but I'm intrigued by what I saw. I just need more information. I just do. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go see it, spend money on something if I get any of the following identity from her, because I want what I want. This is what I want: an apology saying we're sorry we fucked this up. Here's what really happened. Blah blah blah, and also where are the wills? Because they're supposed to be in this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the wills. Yeah, the wills are supposed to be in
They're
it.
in the garbage where Kathy put them.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
Well, if George is there, they're in it. But how are they in it? What does all this mean exactly? I want to know. I want to know what I want to know. I want more information. I can't see this movie unless I see some apology on the screen, and not just fan service, but
So,
retconning, everything.
would it have been enough of an apology if the title of the movie would have been Star Wars Episode 9, actually Episode 8?
Yeah, we're fixing it. We fixed it. I mean,
We fixed it.
it is a total retcon, but you can see it's a retcon.
Well, yeah, we all knew it was going to be a retcon as soon as Rian Johnson came out with his, oh, well, I'm totally okay with them retconning it. Yeah, because they already did.
Yeah, well, guess what? They did, and I guess I think it was Craig who basically said that JJ basically told him to Rian Johnson to fuck off. I mean, he doesn't like him. He don't like him at all, and it he doesn't like him at all, and it. I tell you, it's just not. For him, it's just not a good thing for in Hollywood for Rian Johnson. I mean, Kathy can talk to him all day about what movie he wants to make. The problem is, and they can say he's directing it. The problem is, what's Bob Iger going to do? I mean, that's their problem. I mean, and they should think about that. They really need to understand that having Rian Johnson anywhere near Star Wars movie won't help them sell sell subscriptions to the Disney Plus.
Yeah, because I was of the mindset when Iger came out with his tweet essentially apologizing. I was like, I don't necessarily need an apology from Disney. I need an apology from Lucasfilm. So
Yeah.
if you are the guy who's actually running the show over there, like,
Yeah.
Kathy is literally just the lady getting your coffee and you're signing her checks,
Yeah.
then it's reasonable for you to be the one to apologize.
Yeah.
But if you're the head of the company that owns the company below it, which is the one that I want to hear from, I don't want to hear from you at all because it's pointless.
Yeah. No, it's almost like he's trying to run deflection for her. But I know for a fact that when all that stuff went down last summer, and she was basically set aside, she was running around screaming at everybody who would listen that it was all the men's fault. And they've, and of course then she signed that 3-year deal, but what is it? She's been put in a spot she can't get out of. She can't do anything. She can sign
Right.
checks.
And with the money that Disney have, a 3-year deal could end in 3 days. They'd be like, oh, we owe you the rest of this, and here's your severance package. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and they can't. I mean, I look for her. This just made me speculate. I look for episode 9 to make more than $600 million, because that first weekend it's got to fight Jumanji. All right, and that's going to be hard. That's going to be very, very hard. Now Disney's going to put up the hype machine, but people are so burnt out from it all that is anybody going to want to go see it that opening weekend? Because if it doesn't make a lot of money opening weekend, it's just not going to make that money. It'll come in second. But it coming Star Wars when Lucas ran it would have killed Jumanji.
Yeah, that'll be. I bet that it's the. I don't know for a fact, but I bet it would be the first time ever that Star Wars isn't number one on its opening weekend.
Yep, and I don't think it will be, and I think it's going to be her swan song. I think she'll say she's going into retirement or going back to producing movies, and whoever's going to take over Lucasfilm is going to show up and go, "Here I am," you know, because Craig keeps saying that whoever's going to take over from her is working on a movie, and he won't say who it is. And I'm just speculating. It's JJ because he's working on a movie. All right, and he's working on a deal for Bad Robot too, to get Disney, or I think, was it Universal, one of the big companies to buy him out to
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, it's or whatever, but I'm just like, I'm still thinking maybe George is back. I just get a feeling there's somebody else doing things because The Mandalorian looks good. I didn't see the whole trailer, but it looks good. Clone Wars is back. And he's been keeping up with the guys doing whatever Benioff and Weiss are doing. So, and why would he do that if he wasn't doing stuff with the company again? It just, but everybody else will tell me I'm wrong. And it's like, you know what? I just got a feeling.
Well, I
I
mean,
just got,
how many rumors did we hear about George Lucas being involved with them at all when, let's say, from the time it is now to the time, so it's 7 months away till
uh-huh,
it comes, 8 months away, 8 months away.
uh-huh,
I mean, I don't remember 8 months before The Force Awakens come out being like, oh yeah, we got George Lucas here. He's helping us write the story for it. I heard George Lucas isn't involved at all, and we got a new story.
yeah, yeah. So now
Like
he's,
there were no rumors then about him being involved. And the
yeah,
fact that there are even rumors now makes you think, well,
yeah.
they were
Well,
expecting to make over $2 billion with The Last Jedi. They weren't expecting less than that. And then when it came in under 1.5, they were like, well, at least we still made money.
yeah, yeah. And then, they made money.
And
Yeah,
then Solo came out and they were like, oh, I guess
Like,
people don't just go see Star Wars because it says Star Wars.
yeah, yeah. They saw that midget with the big head with the weird hair playing
Oh
Han
my
Solo.
God.
And what I love about it, there are a couple people on Twitter that really get mad if you basically say he sucks. They really get mad. It's like, how he got the job, right?
how?
Nepotism.
Yep, Steven Spielberg.
Oh,
They were
right.
ready to sign.
He's the
They were
first
ready,
guy who auditioned.
yeah, and they were ready to sign Anthony Ingruber, whom Ford said that's the kid because he's done it before. Their excuse
Yeah,
is
because he
Ingruber basically punted one of his auditions, and that was the reason they give you when they make excuses for Aaron Reich. But Daddy Spielberg said, "Well, my accountant's son was the first one to try out for it, and he's my friend. He's my
and
daughter's friend."
right, and he's great friends with Lawrence Kasdan, and who wrote Solo? John
Yeah,
Kasdan.
yep. And there you go. And they wonder why it lost $200 million. There's $100 million right there. You know, I just every time I looked at him, I just wanted to go, "You got to be kidding me." My favorite lead up thing to Solo when it came out was Aaron Reich is sitting like a tool in a chair, like he's looked like a little baby in a high chair. He's sitting in one of those high, you know, like pub chairs.
Yep.
Ford comes walking up to him and he goes, "Get out of my chair." And it wasn't he wasn't joking. He wasn't joking at all. I was
No,
shocked.
people
I was
think
like,
that they are.
yeah, he wasn't. It's like, you're not. And of course, people are like, "Well, he said he liked it." It's like, what is he going to do? Say it sucked? Think.
Right, yeah, he's not that kind of guy.
No, he's not going to say I didn't like it. And he's also not going to say, I didn't want this kid, I wanted the other kid. He's not going to do that. I'm just appalled that they wouldn't listen to the guy that played Han Solo.
Yep.
Who is Han Solo, for crying out loud. Sorry, Harrison, if you're hearing us, you get that for the rest of your life, whether you like it or not. That's another thing I think has been blown out of proportion too. How he feels about the character, because Lawrence Kasdan said in an interview, and I wish I could find it now. I don't know what happened. I don't know where it went, but that when they were filming TFA, he didn't want to leave the set. He didn't want to not be part of the next movie. So when I say I think he probably had been led to believe he was going to be in at least 2, and Kathy Kennedy was like, nope, and JJ was like, well, he is overshadowing our brand new squeaky new characters. It's like, yeah, he's Harrison Ford. He's playing his signature character. What do you think is going to happen? That's Mark Hamill playing Luke Skywalker. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, anyway, but that's how it happened. That's how it happened. And then they wanted to make a movie about Han Solo and write a shitty script, get a shitty lead, have directors fighting with everybody else, and spend $250 million making it and lose $200 million.
Oh, I think that it's closer to the because every article that I read, the wording is written just so that nobody will ever have the accurate number. I think it's closer to the 450, 500 million because they had to go back and refilm essentially
do some
80% of a movie.
Yeah, you might be right.
What is the thing with Kathleen Kennedy and firing directors? That's
Which-
something I don't understand.
Which I thought was pretty funny. I want to say it was a couple months ago, somebody on Twitter, when I was talking about this, they're like, no, the production budget was 125 million and it got doubled to 250. That's the double. And I went back and I looked at every Star Wars movie that Disney made, and I was like, all of these production budgets are minimum 250. There's no way that they were making one for half the price.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it was 250 base, and then you maybe not quite double it, but come damn near close.
Yeah, well, Odin's movie Black, he does a really good job of breaking down the numbers. He called it at
Yes, he
$200 million.
does.
He call it 200
Yep.
million. But if they lost 400 million, I mean, that should have just gotten Kennedy fired right there. I mean, I heard, and I heard this too, that Iger wanted her out for a long time, and the only reason why they kept her on was because The Force Awakens made so much money. But then they had Harrison Ford, and everybody went Han and ran to the theater, and that's why they went to the theater. They didn't go to see Rey, Poe, and Finn. No one gives a shit about them,
Yep.
and no one will when Episode 9 comes out.
No, you have to write the characters to integrate into the story. You can't just say, well, here's the new characters, love them.
Yeah.
And here are the other characters that are adjacent to them, and we're putting them in the story to make sure that you show up so we can introduce you to the new characters. I was like, that's not how you write a fucking story. You just write the story for the new characters and be like, oh, this is where we can fit our stormtrooper character in. This is where we can fit our fighter pilot in, and this is where we can fit our new Jedi in.
Yeah. Yeah. And they'll just
No, these are the movies. Sorry, these are the movies that feel the least like Star Wars to me in years. I'm still struggling to find that connection.
I mean, when you go to Rogue One and you feel like you're actually at a Star Wars movie. I mean, I actually went to see that twice at the theater. I thought it was that good.
Yep.
I had fun. I don't care about the characters. It was just a good story. And when they showed Tarkin the first time, I almost fell out of my seat. I mean, he's one of my favorite bad guys of all time. I mean,
no, that was some of the best CGI I've ever seen for bringing a character back to life.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Their excuse for not spending so much money on the budget is like, yeah, it's unethical to use a deceased person's portrait, and that's why we're not going to be going and doing to do that again.
Yeah.
And the reality is that it's so fucking expensive. Don't make us do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, Todd Fisher and Billy Lord, Carrie's daughter and brother, were both like, if you want a CGI mom, that's great, do it. And, you know, JJ's like, well, no, we just didn't feel like we should. Translated, I don't want to spend the money on that. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
do
which I
it.
was wondering with the trailer and the hug that they show between them.
Do you
Yeah.
think
I
that's a double?
wonder.
What?
Do you think that's an extra of some sort? Because
That
Oh, because
probably
you only
is
see the back of her head.
yeah,
No, you see the front of her head
Ooh,
too.
maybe.
you see the
While they're
front,
hugging?
but I think that they took that from The Force Awakens because you can see that the background is kind of, very low in resolution. So I think that they kind of changed the background and basically that's why I believe that they also gave Rey her Force Awakens attire so that they can use the same scenes as they did in The Force Awakens. It kind of, makes sense right now.
Ah,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right on that because, you know, what they did, JJ said, is that they found a bunch of this BTS reel and other stuff and were able to film around and fit her in where she needed to be fit in, which at least we'll get to see her one more time, you know.
right. So I was wondering with that hug, it was an actual scene that was filmed for something. What the hell was it for? Was it for Luke dying? Was it for Han dying? What was it originally supposed to be intended for?
Well, if you look at it, her hair is Force Awakens, so it's probably you know how many times they film like, okay, take scene 52 take 1, scene 52 take 5. You know, it's probably one of the takes that they pulled it out
Okay.
and used it.
When they get back to the planet
Yeah,
after Han dies.
yeah.
Okay.
And what it looks like to me is they might have actually CGI'd an expression on Daisy's face that was
Ooh, the
different.
Captain Marvel way, hey?
Well, to me, because when you watch it, I swear to God, she starts looking up at somebody. At somebody. It might be at the end of the movie. You know,
right.
Okay.
where you know when Luke says, "We will always, we're always with you," and no one has ever really gone. And you
And then
look up and you
Palpatine's
see,
like, I know, right?
well, yeah, and there's Palpatine. But she starts to look up and you don't see her focus on anything. But I wonder if she's looking at Luke's Force Ghost, at Anakin, at Obi-Wan, all of that, and maybe we'll get a surprise. I do know that the cast sheets had Hayden Christensen on them, Ian McDermott definitely. It's just the cast sheets were interesting. Now, nothing about Ford, but that doesn't mean you can't find, BTS reel and extra shots that they took, through all this and are able to integrate him somehow in it. Mike Zero likes to say, well, they tried to get him to come in for extra shots and he wouldn't, blah, blah, blah. But, I've heard he's in it too. I've heard he's actually filmed some scenes for it. I don't know if they'll make the film, but if he hasn't, there's still room. There's still probably a lot on the ground.
What about the new Thrawn rumors that are coming out? Why Thrawn could actually appear in Star Wars Episode 9?
What?
Thrawn?
I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many new videos. We're setting ourselves up for disappointment again. This is exactly what happened for The Last Jedi. So many speculations why this character could be there, why this character could appear. And like 90% of the characters that people were speculating, which means hoping to appear, never made an appearance. Okay, and they looked stupid. on their channels afterward.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing about it is Ryan Johnson spends most of his time on Twitter, probably Reddit, probably YouTube. And what he did was him and the story group would watch YouTube and then do the exact opposite of what people wanted.
I think that's true too, because what YouTube rumors had set up, although some may be far fetched, some of them were not so far from being plausible. And Ryan Johnson being, Ryan Johnson, I think that he decided to go the opposite way because he had to subvert our expectations.
Yeah, yeah, and that's that's what he wanted to do. That's what he did. And now JJ's got to play it safe because the fan base has already been bruised. To the point where we don't trust him anymore. And I'm a little more fair with him because I know that Kathy must be a bitch to work with because he doesn't like her either.
Yeah, did you see that part on the panel where Colbert was like saying, about the villain, and then JJ says, well, it's hard kind of working with a villain or a bad guy on top of your head, and then Kathleen started laughing nervously, and then Colbert was like, "Who's the villain?" And then JJ calmly goes, "Kathy."
Oh God, yeah, they hate each other. I mean, she hates him, he hates her. It's a lovely, dysfunctional family they got going. It's just, to me, amazing. I mean, God, and Iger, ultimately, this is all Iger's fault. You could have, this could have been fixed. And it's like, no, I'm going to let her hang herself. And then it got worse. I mean, so far, the positive things that have happened since The Last Jedi came up, besides Chuck Wendig getting fired, Carrie Hart getting fired, and them losing their shirts with Solo. But what's pissing me off is that, they won't buy out Alden Ehrenreich's contract. And they should.
Because he signed one for 3 movies?
Yeah, he signed on for 4.
What, so we're getting more Solo movies?
Yeah, he was signed on. They were going to do a Solo trilogy.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
No, I don't either. And it's not because people didn't like the character or because he was a white man. It's because Solo sucked.
That's the reason. Solo did suck.
Yeah, and it's,
I didn't see it yet because of The Last Jedi.
Yeah, well, I won't. Dude, I won't see it. I won't. Han Solo is my favorite movie character, period. And looking at Alden Ehrenreich trying to fill those great big boots, it's like, Jesus. Oh, I can't.
And then they try to bait people into seeing it by going, "Oh, you got to see the surprise that they have at the end of it. It's got a huge surprise at the end." I was like, okay. So then you look at all the spoilers from people that went and saw it. They're like, "Oh yeah, Darth Maul shows up at the end." And I was like, "Oh, what does he do?" They're like, "That's what he does." And I was like, "Wait, you're telling me some Sith that I just watched in the Clone Wars and in Rebels actually be mostly badass, and then he starts getting a little, let's say, decrepit at the end, is just going to show up just to show his face, and that's it, and he's not going to kill anyone? What the hell? What's the point?
Yeah, yeah, and it's like now he's some sort of big crime lord. And it's like, come on.
Yeah, he's the one running the crime syndicate. I was like, I thought the whole point of setting this up was to show how indebted Han Solo is to the Hutts.
Yep.
And Han and Chewie's when they first meet was like, I don't want to see that. That sound, it just, I saw like parts of it and I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And John Kasdan is a great guy. He's really nice. He's very classy.
I heard he's a sweetheart.
Oh man, he's so nice because he put something on Twitter and I responded back to it with a, let's say, slightly nasty comment, and he commented back to me just as sweet as could be, and I was like, are we sure this guy works at Lucasfilm?
Yeah. Are we? I mean, he is a nice guy. It's just, I would have said, here are the books: Paradise Snare, The Hutt Gambit, and Rebel Dawn. Read these. Look and see how Han met Chewie, and do that. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Doesn't that?
they got all these books to use, and they're like, you know what? I will use one paragraph from that novel. That's it. The paragraph was Han meets Chewie, and then they made up a story.
Yeah, yeah, and it was so stupid.
And you know what was the Disney kind of thing to do?
What?
They needed to shower together.
That was so gross.
Oh yeah, because you got to
I
get
know.
more sex in Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, you see, I keep on saying this to SJWs, and they kind of, fry their circuits when I say these things. This particular thing, I say, you know what? You confuse sexual and political diversity and racial diversity, and you mix it up with intellectual diversity. George Lucas' Star Wars trilogy, intellectual. This steaming pile of shit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yep.
it's
Where are the aliens?
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Where are the aliens? Where my thing is, it would have been really great to have. This is what I would have done. I've always, and I think, Taryn, you've heard me say this one. Tell the story. I would have had Han sitting in a bar on Nar Shaddaa, broke. I mean, just absolutely. He has not a dime to his name. Sitting there, Chewbacca bothering him, and you get a flashback. All right, well, let's use flashbacks because it works. How the hell did this happen? You see it. You see. You get an idea that his career was really going good. He's very, very well thought of, a fighter pilot, and maybe even have Viper Maverick moment with Vader.
Okay.
Just because that would be like, and he goes to investigate that ship. He finds the Wookiees, and he can't turn Chewie over. He's not going to hurt him. And when the shit hits the fan, he takes it out on his commanding officer, and he's lucky they didn't execute him. So they just give him the heave ho, and he can't find a legitimate job, because no one's going to hire a guy that got court-martialed for saving a Wookiee. And so he's stuck. I mean, he doesn't. I don't look at being a smuggler as a choice that he would have made. Like that would have been the first thing he wanted to do, because when you read the actual canon books, he had to do it. He had no choice. He couldn't feed himself. He couldn't find a
It
real
seems
job.
odd that a little boy in any scenario would be like, "Oh, I want to grow up and be a smuggler."
Yeah, yeah. And
Like, you live in the Star Wars galaxy. Aren't there better jobs to do that you can at least aspire to?
Well,
yeah,
maybe what if he sees as a kid that smugglers make more money than what regular paid people do, and he's like, hey, maybe this is a way to earn a fast buck.
well, here's the deal. This is how do you get
It'd be
a
nice if
guy?
Disney would give that much exposition.
Yeah, how do you get a guy to the point where he's jaded, cynical, and I don't care about anything else but pay me? How do you get him there? You have to tell that story. He can't already be there, because then you don't have a character build up. So what I would do
Then
is,
you get Luke in the TLJ.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, so what you do with this is he's sitting there, bar manager or waitress or bartender walks over, and sees that he's broke, but she's like, okay, I'll let you drink for free tonight. So he's sitting there, but she kind of owns the place. You got this older guy who just walked in, sits down. They know each other, and Han sees a Savick game starting up, and he's a good player. So he's like, maybe I can earn some money. So he goes back there, and he wins like hands, like a ton of different, like 6 or 7 hands in a row, kind of like the Doc Holliday, right? And
Okay.
all hell breaks loose, and Chewie gets involved, and Han pulls his blaster and kills somebody, and in the melee, and the old man walks over, gets him out of there, and that's the guy that teaches them the business. You need a job, you need something to do. I can't tell you it's not going to be dangerous, because it is, but here you go. And I'm, we'll pull a name out of the EU, Mocha, all right, and he just, I mean, that's how he learns it. Okay. You don't go, okay, I'm running away with my girlfriend and we get separated. And then to hide, I join the Imperial Navy or whatever. It's just, oh God, there's no purpose to it. The character doesn't have any purpose then. It's just stupid. It's just dumb. And I thought if they did it in a way which would actually be in keeping with the kind of Western theme they were looking at, would have been a lot better. And not just constantly, oh, we're going to heist, we're going to rob a train. It just, just no. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, that's what I would have done. I think it would have been better. I think and give me an actor that actually looks like Harrison Ford. There has to be someone out there that could have done it. I mean, without making, making me gag,
There's a guy on YouTube, God, I can't remember his name, that
Anthony Ingruber.
He's the Australian.
He is actually from, I think, Holland. And
okay. Yeah, he played Harrison Ford or young Harrison Ford in some movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I saw some of his videos of where he's impersonating him to be Han Solo.
Yeah.
And you watch that and you're like, wait, is that him? You got to double take at the picture because you're like, he actually has his hair done properly.
Yeah. Yeah. He looks like him. He sounds like him. They work together. Harry was like, that's the guy I want. And then Spielberg jumps in and goes, my accountant's son. You have to hire him. Okay, Stephen, we'll do that. And the movie just goes, it's like, I'm sorry.
Just looking at it on its face, I was like, you want to tell the backstory of a person who you kind of already gave the backstory for? I don't need to see a young Han Solo. I already watched Star Wars.
Yeah. And, we don't really, here's the deal. You don't, they're characters you kind of want to do a backstory to, and the origin story in the EU is great. But there's sometimes when you don't have to tell that story. It's kind of like with this Joker movie coming out.
Oh, man.
As much as I want to see it just because I think it looks good, do we really need an origin story when Heath Ledger did such a good job at misdirection with it?
It's great.
Yeah. It just, so I don't really, they didn't think out, they didn't plan this out well. They really didn't plan this out well. And it's going to be very interesting how this is all going to turn out with the saga, because I was not exactly underwhelmed by the trailer, but God, I need more information. I really, really do. I think we all do.
That's for sure. And
anyway.
I mean, I was excited when they started announcing that they were doing their Star Wars Stories movies. I was like, oh, so they're just going to pick characters and start doing ones for them. So then you think to yourself, you're like, oh, well, this character would make a really good story. This one would make a really good story. There's all kinds of ones that would make a really good story. And then you get to one. I mean, what did Rogue One make? It made like 1.1 billion.
Yeah. Did very well.
Yeah, it did very well, and it was the cheapest of the 4 movies that they've made so far. And I was like, oh, well, if this is what the stories are going to be like, I'm on board with it. Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Sorry, my dogs are going crazy.
It's all right. I get it.
Did you show him a picture of Kathleen Kennedy? Because I hear it upsets animals.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
That's funny. Yeah. And Ryan Johnson's voice hurts dogs' ears. So, they start howling and crying and pawing and, Rogue One was good. If they had kept up that kind of thing with characters that you don't know, they should have left the original trilogy characters alone. They really should have.
Yeah,
I
because
don't know
I
why.
was like, if they're gonna do these chronicle style stories, then you'll be able to set your universe up more like a Marvel or DC in the sense that you have characters all over the place where you can grab stories from. Right now, Star Wars is about Anakin Skywalker. I don't care what anybody else says. That's the
You're right.
point.
You're right. It's Anakin Skywalker, his rise, fall, redemption, and whatever's the aftermath is the aftermath. And really, if you think about it, the story should have ended on episode 6. But when you've got the original cast ready to come back, you're going to milk that for all the money you can get out of it. And it's almost karmic justice, I think, for Disney, abusing Harrison Ford the way they did, abusing Mark Hamill the way they did, and actually Carrie Fisher. They're getting and George Lucas. They're getting their karmic retribution. All right. And I'm Catholic, and I shouldn't say that, but it's true. This is blowback from the universe and God saying, you can't do this. Okay, you're pissing everybody off. You can't treat something that's existed for 40 years in people's imaginations like it's McDonald's. You churn out a movie a
Right. I
year.
mean, since 1983, people believe that let's call them 4 main characters, if you want to add Lando to them, we assume that they all ended up happy together. When in reality, none of them are together and none of them seem to be happy.
Yep, that's the truth. And, it's the thing is that, Disney likes to, pride itself on being a bunch of, well, we're into the fairy tales and all the rest of the stuff. And, it's like, really? Really, guys? Okay. Star Wars is a fairy tale. It's also a fantasy. And you guys seem to have forgotten that. And now you fucked it up. What you do with Lucasfilm is you let it do what it does and you don't Disneyfy it. And that's the first thing they did was Disneyfy it. We got Rey, nobody wandering around. And it's like, no, sorry, that's not how it works. That's not
Yep,
Star
and
Wars.
if you look at least the way that I look at it, if you look at all the trilogies separate, if you watch the original Star Wars, you can watch that one movie all by itself and go, oh, that's a pretty good movie. I liked it. You can do the same thing with The Phantom Menace. It's totally encapsulated by itself. It can be. And then the story continues. They build on it. With The Force Awakens, they wrote an entire movie that's like, we need more movies to explain how this movie makes sense instead of just telling a story.
Yeah, you're right. And that's
Because then you can add the twist. That's why the Vader I am your father twist works so great, because you already had a story and you added a twist.
Yeah. And everybody thought one thing and then Lucas, basically said, here you go, gotcha. I mean, the story about how that came out when the only people who knew.
Yeah, what, 3 people?
Yeah, 3 or 4 people, and when that came out, and Ford is sitting in front of Mark Hamill, he turns around and goes, "What the fuck?" Gotcha, smart guy, gotcha. Didn't we get you? We gotcha. And there. But here's the deal: The Empire Strikes Back, in of itself, was a movie encapsulated, but it had the cliffhanger at the end. So you're kind of going, okay, there better be another one. And we knew there was going to be another one. I mean, they had to tell the rest of the story. And Fox was like, oh, yes, we like the money you're earning us. Please make another one,
Right.
And it, I just, that was, I remember walking into The Empire Strikes Back sobbing. Oh, I was so upset. I'll never forget how upset I was. And for the next 3 years, all we could do was argue and debate what's going on. And finally we get to Return of the Jedi. And I think the week or so before Jedi came out, that comic book, the giant one, Return of the
Okay.
Jedi came out because I got it. So the spoilers are out there. There it is.
Ah.
That's exact. And Lucas was pissed. Oh my God, he was mad. He's like, I really didn't want that to get out there now. And there it was. And so,
And he's like,
but
you
we all
couldn't have
went,
waited 2 weeks, you bastards.
yeah, yeah. And Return of the Jedi came out in, what was that, 1983. And that comic book came out a week before it came out.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't know how any of the original Star Wars movies made any money. They were all released in May.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Freaking
Yep.
hilarious.
Yep. Memorial Day weekend. I remember standing in line for Return of the Jedi. We got there at 8 in the morning? Or no, we had a half day at school and we ran to the
Okay.
Hollywood Theater just as fast as we could get there and stood in line. We were the first people in line for hours. And we had so much fun. And the line stretched all the way around the block. And people were getting turned away at the I went out to get popcorn and people were getting turned away at the door and getting, tickets for the next showing. And it was just, I just remember sitting there and that movie had all those movies had such a grit to them, like a reality. And these new ones just suck. They
No, I
they
said
don't have that.
they do only one thing right in the sequel trilogy. They make everything look like it's supposed to be Star Wars. You got the
Yep.
right blasters, there's lightsabers, you see some force powers, everything's nice and shiny. Like they do have some nice shots, but then you sit there and watch the whole movie and you're like, oh, well, you have to do all of these nice things. Like, why the fuck is there a crystal fox? You didn't need a crystal fox. They were
Yep.
going to walk to the back of the cave anyway. It was the only fucking way out.
Yep. Yeah.
Like,
It
what? They
just,
were going to walk out the front door?
well, here's, uh, here's the thing is that, first off, that RJ stole the idea for Crystal Foxes from an artist, right?
Yep.
All right.
He
Second of
stole
all,
everything from somebody.
oh yeah, and second of all, uh, the only reason why they were there is because he was an animal rights nuts. That's why he was attacking horse racing at Cano Bite. I own a thoroughbred racehorse. She's 19. She hasn't raced since she was 2. But I love
Right.
racing. I love the horses. They're not treated badly. I was insulted by that because I have friends who
I don't
do.
understand people who think that they're like at any level is they're like, oh, that person, I live in Wisconsin. We have a lot of cows. So everyone's like, oh, they must treat their cows horribly. I was like, no, pretty much all farmers love all of their cows. In fact, if you got a few hundred cows, you might actually have a few hundred names and you call all your cows by name instead of just by number. We love our
Yeah,
animals, but yeah, there's always bad people in every single group.
yep, yep. And that's true. That is
But
absolutely true.
I think that's
And
what we were talking about before you ladies jumped on here was how the SJWs like to lump everybody into one group and say, oh, all of these people are bad. And then you come back at them and like, oh, well, if all of those people are bad, can you say that about this group of people and that group of people and this group of people? Like, what kind of logic are you using to make these determinations?
I just had a Ray. I've had Ray Lowe's jump on my channel screaming, "We're not all like that," blah blah blah. Because I did that. I did an expose on the rape porn they do, and the fact that they doxed Adam Driver, and
Yep.
they're just freaking weird in general. Okay, I don't care if they're part of that ex- group or not that actually did all that stuff. I don't care if you're Raylo. I can't talk to you. You're a freak. Okay, because there's something wrong with you thinking what he did to her in The Force Awakens was romantic. But you get
Yeah, he essentially mind raped her and it was supposed to be erotic in their eyes. And I
yeah,
was like, that's a real twisted way of looking at that scene. I was like, this is like some
Steph,
serious mental molestation.
I got a comment from this one guy that said Anakin and Padme was the abnormal couple. They were creepy, and Raylo had chemistry.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, because what kind of woman in her right mind would want a man that can save and protect her when she's in danger, like Anakin did with Padme, you know? But you want one to strap you, you want a man to strap you on this bed and basically torture you and probe your mind. That's a healthy relationship.
Well, the thing about it is, it's to me, it's like, you know, he just killed his father, who might be your father, by the way, in front of you. And now you got to be kidding me. I mean, but it's all projection, and it comes from the vampire stuff in Twilight
Yep.
and 50 Shades of Mommy porn. You
Oh
know,
man.
I mean, you got to look at the rape video. The images that I found are horrific. These people painted and drawn, and it's like, who has time for this? Why would you do that? And drawing pictures like this, if I was a psychologist, I'd be like, you need to be put in the hospital. There's something wrong with you. And you need help, clinical help.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just for fun. That's not what I
yeah,
do just for fun. What?
yeah. It's just for fun. Of course, the moment someone says you're an idiot for thinking that way, you start attacking that person. You start thinking that you own something that has been there for 40 years. You know, F you. You know, that you should be able to retcon the 40 years before, so it fits your weird idea of what Star Wars is. And then you find out these people have only been fans for the last year, maybe 2 years. That's it. It's like,
Oh yeah, since Star Wars got woke.
yeah, well, it's like, and that's the thing, is that they're mostly these, big, fat, blue haired land whale cat ladies who are very woke, but they look at being treated like shit as romantic. And then when Han and Leia are dueling, yelling at each other or arguing on in the Empire Strikes Back, that's bad. It's like, no, that's verbal foreplay. Do you
Right,
understand
which
the
I
difference
always
there?
find pretty funny. I was like, okay, so you want to point to a relationship in 50 Shades of Grey as being something that is correct and appropriate. Okay, let me hop on board with that sentiment for a moment. Those two people are in a serious committed relationship before they start doing this horribly freaky, crazy sex stuff. They haven't just met. I don't know, what was it, maybe an hour earlier,
Yeah,
and you literally got forced down to the ground and knocked out, and then you get mind raped, and they're like, "Oh man, that was hot." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
yeah, that's hot. But but
But the look that Leia gives to Han when they're in Empire, you're telling me that that's odd? What the hell?
yeah, he's pushing her buttons and pissing her
It
off, and
was
he's doing it.
against her will. He was mansplaining to her.
Oh,
Yeah, we know that.
geez.
We know that, but then she
I
needed
heard that too. I heard that too. He was mansplaining to Leia. She didn't want to be together. And he mansplained her into it. Leia's the victim. I'm like,
how is that?
Wow.
yeah,
You know,
people, yeah,
I
because flirting like a normal person today is not something that they want. They just want these sick fantasies. Do you know why? Because it's easier done on paper. Because if you take those weirdos out in the sun, not only do I believe that their skin will start burning because they're vampires,
Yeah,
abnormal.
actual vampires. They won't look like a bunch of fucking crystals. As soon as I heard that, I was like, no, I'm not reading this shit.
Yeah, 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 when you hear that, wouldn't it be funny if Carrie Fisher was still alive to be able to explain that's not what happened?
I don't think that Carrie would have dignified them with a response. I think
Well,
that
she,
Carrie would have done the Carrie thing and basically just brushed him away. Like when she was asked about Brian Johnson and she just said it all in one word. Ah, he's an asshole.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Done. That's it.
yeah. Well, Yeah,
Yeah, she
I
goes,
think that it
they
would.
don't pay me enough money for me to hold my tongue.
No, she would have said something about it. She would have said, "Look, if you can look at those scenes that I did with Harrison, whom I had a relationship with at the time, and think anything else but what I just said, verbal foreplay, you are an idiot." She would say that.
Right.
I mean, they they genuinely, I think, were in love. I think that for some reason she was just not. Oh God, I've had this conversation. I don't want to go there, but it just there are reasons why it didn't work out. Um, but they were always like around each other. Even like she used to go on vacations with him and his wife to up in Jackson. They used to. I mean, there's a great picture of her. They're on a raft ride on Snake River, which is a crazy thing to do, by the way. Um,
Okay.
and she's, or you know how the boats are, when everybody they have to distribute weight.
Yep.
She's right behind him. He's in front. She's right behind him. The kids are all in the middle. Strangely enough, Melissa, his wife, is sitting on the opposite end. Okay. It's like me going, that's an interesting little scene right there. Okay. I think that there's always something there between them. And I don't think it ever really got resolved. I mean, when he said something to her on the set of Force Awakens, there was another kind of relationship like they'd had going on. And he said, maybe it'll work out better for them. You know, um, he, and that's, but I can't imagine her tolerating these women saying shit like that about that, because I think it would really
No.
bother her, because it's disrespectful to him too, not just to her but to him. I mean, it's like, you don't even what, you know. She would have crushed him. She would have just like, no, no, you don't understand what's going on. I
Yeah,
mean,
and what
and
upsets me is if their plan all along was, oh, we have three legacy characters, we're going to give each of them their own movie to be featured in, and we're going to make the one that has the biggest history of drug problems, we're going to push hers off to the last one. We'll make
yeah,
hers the last movie. I was
yeah,
like, wait a
yeah,
second. As
yeah,
soon as she got money, she's spending money,
yeah. Was
and it's
she?
not to go on a boat ride.
No, she was. I mean, she had such a hard time. I really, every time I think about her, it breaks my heart because she was such a cool person. But she not only, had the addiction problems, but that combined with, uh, being a manic depressive is
And it's
hard.
not like she was a spring chicken anymore. I mean, what, she was
No,
65?
she was 60.
She was 60,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah, she just turned 60 that October. Yeah, it's really funny. Um, there are stories out there that Disney itself had gone to her saying, "You're too heavy. We need to lose weight." The wrong thing to say to her when she had battled anorexia too. Okay, and what's interesting is a friend of mine was going to see her at a comic convention. I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was in DC, and she had to cancel at the last minute because she got really sick. And I think it's probably something that led to her death because she didn't look the same, seem the same between The Force Awakens and TLJ when they were getting ready to put
Oh,
when
yeah. I mean, you can see the difference of her. I mean, you shouldn't look older if it's only 12 hours later.
yeah, and so I think she was, you know, uh, I think them coming to her saying she was fat, she was smoking, um, probably drinking again. It just, it was, a cocktail of bad going on. And, when she died, thinking, okay, she'll get her, they'll fix her up, she'll be fine. And then when my husband texted me, I was on my way to go see my horse, and I was so upset. I just remember crying into my horse's neck, and Kay's going, what is wrong with you? What? You know, it was just, I mean, I was devastated. I mean, that was just devastating because there goes at least one part of Star Wars that's a big part for me anyway, you know. Um, and she deserved better than she got. She really did. And
I
every
mean,
time
she's the first main character you're introduced to.
yeah, yep, and that's truth. And you know, it was just sad. I mean, and when people say shit like that about that relationship, I get so angry because they don't understand what was going on. They really, really don't. Um, you know, I mean, and they don't. You can watch those movies if you grew up, and I did. You know they like each other. You know they don't want to like each other, but you know they do. You know why Han stayed at the rebellion as long as he did? It was for her.
What are you doing here? I thought you got your money and ran.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, I don't know, what am I doing here? I know, you know. I mean, you know, it's and it's obvious. But then see, you know, you guys, these girls are very well educated. They're not easy. They can't discern things. They can't think critically. Um, they're they've been lied to about feminism their whole life. If they went to college, they've run into professors that lied to them too. You know, it's just, you know, and I just go, you know, I can't talk to you. You know, they are. I mean, that's just the way they are. But what time is it? Find out. All right, it is. Come on, man. 9:17. Okay, guys, I'm gonna rock.
I'm also gonna have to rock as well. I was just man, time flies when you're having a good conversation. I didn't
Yes, it
even.
does.
I talk too much, so I'm
No,
sorry.
no. Thing is, it's not a problem when you talk too much. It's what you say when you talk, and when you talk, you're one of the few people that I can listen to that makes sense. You know,
Thank you. Thank
that's
you.
why
I
I
worry about that.
doing these panels.
I worry about that though. Anyway, no, it was fun, you guys. It was really nice to meet you too. Uh, uh,
Pop
so
culture.
correct. What pop culture?
You,
Pop
you
culture.
guys can just call me PB.
All right,
That's
all right.
that's what
I
my
will.
family calls me.
All right, PB man. Cool. All right. So anyway,
Or
I'll be around later. I'm gonna see. I got a couple more things I gotta do, but I gotta hit the rack because I'm tired. Last night, Bonnie and me and Naz and oh god, I can't remember who else. Oh my god, we were on for hours, and let me tell you, I drank too much. I think we all did. so it was Saturday night debauchery, and that's fine. You know, every once in a while that's okay. So anyway, all right, I'll talk to you
Hey,
guys later. Okay.
can you throw a message in the live chat so I can go to your channel?
Sure, I can do that. I'll be there. I'll do that in a second. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye,
later,
guys.
later.
Yep. See you later.
Later.
So, is there anything that you'd like to say before we end this stream? Because man, it was a blast. I just I also talk a lot, but when I see that people say things that interest me, I just kind of dial it down. You know.
Oh yeah, I do the same thing. I have no problem sitting there and listening as long as the person's making a
And
coherent statement.
yep. Stephanie is one of those people that I can listen to, uh, discuss things for hours. I mean, like whenever she has a few videos out, what I do is I don't watch them until I have a few chores to run, and then what I do, I just put them in my headphones and I just like binge watch slash listen to them.
Oh, okay.
Because, yeah, it's she makes a lot of sense, and she's a very active member in the community, and she's supported me a lot, and meeting everyone on this community no matter how big or small they are as a channel. It's a wonderful opportunity to meet people.
Yeah, I mean it's great for me. I live up in the sticks, and there's not a whole lot of people around that like to talk Star Wars with me. So this is a great opportunity for me to talk with some, let's say, reasonable people about Star Wars.
Yeah, because talking Star Wars, you can also talk with a Raylo about Star Wars. It's a Star Wars discussion, but it's not reasonable. I get what you mean. You're
Yep.
absolutely right. So, would you like to plug in your channel?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can do my quick plug that I can do at the beginning or the end. It's like saying aloha. Yeah. Hey everybody, it's PB here. You can find me at Pop Culture PB on YouTube and on Twitter. I do reaction videos for Star Wars and Marvel, and I do High Council highlights if you're interested in those. They're quite hilarious, or at least that's what I've been told.
Awesome, man. Awesome. High Council, huh? Yeah, I guess I gotta give those a look because I haven't checked the High Council in a long time. So we'll be catching you guys some other time. Thank you for watching, whoever was on the stream. So we'll be catching you guys next time, and we're going off.